Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. We start from Osun. The Osun Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Osogbo has issued fresh order directing the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to produce the certified true copy of documents used by Senator Demola Adeleke in the 2018 Osun Governorship election. Details of that report will come to you in our subsequent bulletin. Now, INEC has released guidelines for the conduct of political rallies, processions and campaigns, as well as finances and election expenses of political parties, candidates and aspirants. The 12-point guideline on conduct of political parties and campaigns deals with issues of procedures, clash of dates, venue and time of campaigns. The 9-point guideline on finances and election expenses of political parties reminds stakeholders on the procedures and limits of individual and group donations, as well as submissions of revenues and expenditure after the election. Meanwhile, INEC has also approved the reappointment of the Secretary of the Commission, Mrs. Rose Oriaran Anthony, for a second and final term of 4 years, with effect from 7th December 2022. Now, the All Progressives Congress, APC, says it remains the party to beat in the forthcoming general elections. This is the belief of the party's stalwarts and supporters during the Northwest Zonal Governorship campaign held in Gumel, Jigawa State, where they pledged massive votes for the party at all levels of the election. Mohammed Musa Askira brings us the details.
This is the second in the series of zonal governorship rallies in Jigawa State. While addressing the party supporters at the rally, Governor Muhammadu Badru Abubakar says, just like the party's presidential candidate Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the governorship candidate in the state, Umar Namadi, and his running mate, Aminu Usman Gumel, have been tested and found worthy for the positions they aspire for.
I have a glad tidings for you from Baba Asuwaju that if elected the next president, he will support massive irrigation piping here in Gumel. And we all know that he is a man of his words. It's a promise and he will fulfill it. I want to assure you that all the good things this administration has brought to you, I will consolidate on them and make the state better for all to live.
What you have seen today is a testimony of what is going to happen on the day of election.
Party leaders and other speakers urged the electorates not to go back on the sacrifices they made so far for repositioning the country on the path for sustainable development. Party flags were presented to the candidate contesting for various positions in the zone. Governor Muhammadu Badru Abubakar, his deputy Umar Namadi, among other dignitaries, were also at the palace of the Emir of Gumel, Ahmed Muhammad Sani, to seek for his blessings. From Dutse, Muhammad Askira, NTA News.
Now, presidential candidates of the political parties on the ballot for the Nigeria's 2023 general election have continued to unfold plans on how a new Nigeria will emerge if given the mandate next year. Kenneth Nanim reports that the new Nigeria Dream for Grassroots Development is the latest to engage the would-be helmsmen to interact with Nigerians in a town hall meeting in Abuja.
All eyes are now on the 2023 presidential election scheduled for February 25, and Nigerians are keeping faith with these dates on their calendar. To ensure eligible voters make informed decisions, the new Nigeria Dream for Grassroots Development invited the presidential candidates of the 18 registered political parties to tell Nigerians how the new Nigeria Dream project will be realized if given mandate.
We have currently 18 million subscribers for New Nigeria projects. Out of that, we have 2.9 million who are new registrants. And these votes have to go to a particular candidate.
Some of the presidential candidates, including the ANPP, Action Alliance, National Rescue Movement, and the Young People's Party, unveiled their plans on how to fix every facet of the economy.
Your joint intelligence bureau of the country must be reviewed. Primarily, there is something called speedy intelligence flow in information management of the country.
The basic human right of power has not been given to us, because if you fix that, you'll have productivity.
That the best way is education. That's why we want to bring in our experiences in Kano, for example.
God willing, as the president of Nigeria, our youth becomes the priority. The majority of the appointment will go for our youth.
Now, the ball is in the court of Nigerians, and they are expected to make their choice through the power of the ballot in few months. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, countries across the globe are today observing the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, a campaign led by the UN Secretary General since 2008, calling for global action to increase awareness, promote advocacy, and create opportunities for discussion on challenges and solutions. Mamso Damien Dati looks at how far Nigeria has gone in view of this.
It was Uwaila Omozwa in Edo State, raped and killed in a church. Then Amina in Ibadan. Another is the battering and abuse of a wife in Mina. Before you know it, it was like a wildfire spreading all over the country, inflicting violence and abuses of all forms on its victims.
He beat me with a machete that time. I was 3 months pregnant, so I nursed the baby.
Immediately, individuals, groups, civil society organizations swung into action, demanding for a stop to the trend. In response, an interministerial committee on eradication of sexual and gender-based violence, the development of gender-based policy guidelines was inaugurated.
This administration remains resolute to not only meet the 35% national gender policy, but to exceed it across key decision-making roles in the government, to end child marriage, boost girl-child education.
The advocacy that has led to the domestication of the Child Rights Act 2003 by 32 states as against 23 in 2019. And the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 by 34 states as against 13 in 2019. This is to give us the legal backing to prosecute offenders, violators of women and girls' human rights.
The federal government of Nigeria, with the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, established a national gender-based violence situation room.
Real-time data to provide evidence-based planning and monitoring of the issues and concerns of women and children, including the girl child.
Furthermore, are the economic empowerment programs under the National Social Investment Program, as well as the promotion of fundamental human rights and freedom. While all these are at different levels of implementation, there are indications that positive results are being recorded, but more needs to be done. Momso Damien Lati, NTA News.
We have with us in the studio the Director General of the National Center for Women Development, Dr. Asabi Vilita Bashir, to speak to the issue. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now,
thank you, viewers.
Yeah, women are in the news again concerning the 16 days of activism concerning the International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. Now, looking at our situation in Nigeria and the theme of this year, which is Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women, where are we in Nigeria on this issue?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, like you rightly said, we are here again to mark another International Day against Violence Against Women. In Nigeria, we are still lagging behind because there are still issues of violence here and there, everywhere within the states and at the national level. But we are not relenting. That is why we have this annual annual event to create awareness from top to bottom, because women are not finding it easy. The issue of violence is across all over, and we need to create more awareness to our male counterparts to see reason why we should put heads together and eliminate the violence against women. Women are partners in progress, and without women, there can hardly be any activity. So in the Ministry of Women Affairs, we always, these 16 days of activism, we engage in creating awareness across the board.
Now, in many societies across the world, when we talk about poverty, what first comes to mind is the woman. And that brings to mind the question, does poverty have the face of a woman?
No, I tell you no. It's the artificial, this is what our people think of, that poverty has the face of a woman, but actually poverty does not have the face of a woman. These are the kind of challenges that women face because of the way our men take us as second-class citizens, and they feel that we should not. They step on some of the rights of the woman. But if you look at Nigeria, for example, and globally, women are in the front line of on socio-economic activities. If you go to the shops, it's women that are involved in marketing. If you go to the farm, it's women are the ones on the farm. If you go anywhere, we are the ones that are really driving the economy of the nation. But poverty does not have face of woman at all. Both men and women are poor. But the only problem why maybe that they look at us as poor is because maybe we don't have access to some of this empowerment that will really empower the woman, because we are still struggling at the grassroots level. We are not empowered in such a way that we access loan anytime, or our husbands can trust us and give us loan and help us to grow economically. And anywhere we go, we are disadvantaged. Before you take loan, you start asking for papers, and some parts of the country, you are not even allowed to own a land, talk less of to have a certificate that you use to take loan. So that is why, but definitely sure it doesn't, both men and women can be poor. But we are calling for empowerment, self-empowerment, so that we empower our women, especially at the National Center for Women Development. That is what we do.
Yeah, you have over the years been in the forefront fighting for the rights of women, campaigning for them. You are an active politician. You have been in the House of Representatives for 4 years as a member representing your constituency, and now you are privileged to be the Director General of the National Center for Women Development. Now, tell us what the center is doing to address this issue, especially concerning violence against women. What is the center doing to empower women?
Yeah, thank you very much. Most of what causes violence is let me say, lack of empowerment. If a woman is empowered, I think they should command some respect within the family and even in the society, and that may a little bit douse the violence. What we do at the center is we empower our women, not by giving them money or whatever, but we teach them skills so that they can go and stand and be independent. Just yesterday, to back as part of the activities of marking the violence, gender-based violence, we empowered about 114 young girls. We taught them skills over 2 weeks. In fact, we taught them in the field that we feel are male-dominated areas, like tiling and masonry, like POP, mechanical, electrical, fridge repair, AC repair. These are fields that hitherto were thought to be men-dominated fields. But we thank God that because of unemployment, and we really want to empower the women to be on their own, to be financially independent, we always call them within every year to teach them these skills, so that when they go out to the society, they have skills and they can be economically independent.
We thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I've been speaking with the DG of the National Center for Women Development, Dr. Asabi Vilita Bashir. Now, civil society organizations working to curb sexual and gender-based violence across Nigeria are calling on authorities to take more drastic action in addressing issues of domestic violence in the country. Men Against Rape Foundation and Make a Difference initiative, while addressing newsmen in Abuja on the circumstances that led to the death of late Mrs. Bimbo Ogbonna, said her death needs to be investigated and appropriate measures taken to arrest cases of sexual harassment and domestic violence against women.
State, Director of Public Prosecution, there is prima facie evidence already. If your fowl is born in the cage, what do? The husband was filming the wife burning. Prima facie case.
Bimbo not getting justice for us is as though she's been victimized even in death.
What we are saying is, let the law take its course. It's as simple as that. They have to investigate how they got to that point. The remote and immediate causes of that death must be investigated.
Mrs. Bimbo Ogbonna, 35, allegedly bought kerosene and set herself ablaze in the heat of hostilities between her and her husband, Mr. Ikechukwu Ogbonna, on the 13th of October 2022 in an apartment in Lagos. An incident the group claims, with the evidence it gathered, relevant authorities in Lagos did not do enough to arrest the situation before it escalated. Now, following the recent trend where allegedly corrupt individuals were discharged by the courts upon conclusion of the legal process, public analysts identified the need for reform of the laws of handling of public funds. Africans in diaspora who are advocating good legislation are also clamoring for capital punishments on corrupt public individuals and their collaborators to rid the nation of graft.
Focus on strengthening our judiciary, making them more efficient and independent, and giving them solid funding for the operations. It would go an extra mile in making sure we attend to cases of corruption.
The group also wants special courts to be set up for handling corruption matters, which has been fingered as one of the causes of underdevelopment on the continent. Now, ECOWAS Parliament is reviewing the performance of the ECOWAS community budget against the backdrop of perceived imbalance between recurrent expenditure and spendings on concrete projects. On NTA, Fanface has the details.
Plenary commenced with the presentation of the ECOWAS 2023 draft consolidated budget, balanced in income and expenditure with the amount of 422,772,325 units of accounts. Debate by members of parliament questions the allocation of more funds to ECOWAS community institutions at the detriment of programs.
The money we collect is there for the programs, and the effectiveness of the budget is not just when receipts are shown that money was spent, but it should be able to reflect in the livelihood of the people. As we seek to present various country reports, we should stick to the truth. Whether our home country governments will applaud whatever we say or not.
Members of parliament pushed for reduced dependence on external sources to fund the community budget.
About 133 million unit of account that is coming from external funding. And then I think we have a big problem. I don't know whether this external funding is a loan, a grant, or concession loan.
Is the levy still the best tool? Because the levy, in my opinion, is just woefully inadequate to deal with the challenges and the problems.
We'll have consideration and adoption of the draft report of the Committee on Administration, Finance and Budget, and the draft of the 2023 Consolidated Community Budget. Consideration and adoption of the draft reports of the standing, joint, and ad hoc committees.
Speaker Sidi Mohammed Tunis committed the draft consolidated budget to the Committee on Administration, Finance and Budget for consideration and presentation to plenary on Monday, 28th November 2022. On NTA, Fine Face, NTA News.
Now, Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila says Nigerians will need to be patient with elected lawmakers to address high legislative turnover aimed at building legislative experience to deal with technicality in legislative duties. This was at the 5th edition of the National Legislative Conference held in Abuja. Dayo Ogunshola reports.
This is the 5th edition of National Dialogue. The focus this time is on Nigeria's legislative experience, reflection on legislative turnover, institutional building, and governmental accountability. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila is here represented by a man with more than 3 decades of experience at the House of Representatives.
So I want to urge Nigerians, especially at this critical period where we are going back to the vote, that Nigerians must be patient with their members of the National Assembly. Bring back your members. It gives you more pride than rejecting them.
Former President of the Senate, Amen Ebute, placed the burden of legislative turnover in Nigeria on the dictate of Constitution.
The Constitution provides for the removal of everybody at the end of the 4 years.
Of the 360-member House of Representatives, over 170 of them failed to emerge at the primary elections of their respective political parties.
You see someone in America serving in the Congress for 59 years in the face of the Congress.
The organizers are optimistic that the communique from here will enrich the nation's democratic experience. In Abuja, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Time now for a break, after which we go to Lagos to join Adeola for the continuation of Nationwide.
Us in Lagos. Some concerned Nigerians have described the 2022 Electoral Act and the 2022 National Peace Accord as laudable efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari to make Nigeria's electoral process compete favorably with those elsewhere. With campaigns in top gear, are political parties and candidates playing by the rules? If not, what are the effects on the system? And is there a way out? Annie Daniels will tell us.
In the past weeks, political parties and candidates have been going about campaigning for support from electorate. This, of course, is normal in a democratic society.
In the course of this journey, we have spoken to many different people, and we find that there is far more engagement in those discussions than has traditionally been the case. We see engagement amongst people who have typically not been engaged, and these are people who are so higher up the, shall we call it, the socioeconomic ladder.
However, some concerned Nigerians fear that with some political parties and candidates making inciting statements, violence will be inevitable. The effects of such actions on the political scene and electorate, my respondents say, will be disastrous.
Don't go around putting so much hate, and at times it becomes even tribal, at times it becomes sectional. So when your region and your religion is a question of your polity, it becomes a problem for the electorate, because we cannot choose people based on actually the region or where they come from. We should be able to manage our supporters.
Last week, the interagency consultative committee on election security was inaugurated at the INEC headquarters. So this is going to help to ensure that there's election security and there is little or no political violence.
My respondents argue that hate speech in electoral violence has undermined democratic consolidations in Nigeria, and that shouldn't be the case any longer. They advise that politicians should focus more on issue-based campaigns as embedded in their manifestos. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Safety personnel of the Nigerian Air Force and other safety professionals in Nigeria have converged on Lagos for a 2-day seminar with emphasis on enhancing safety in the Nigerian Air Force in conflict situations. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao says the seminar will further entrench the safety culture of personnel. Rutharia Samuel has details.
Amid insecurity in Nigeria, the military offensive against terrorists, bandits, and other criminals by the Nigerian Air Force has increased. The NAF in the last 1 year has invested substantially in R&D to develop unprecedented capacity to surmount current and emerging security challenges while also enhancing its operational viability. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, while acknowledging that safety in the NAF remains a shared responsibility that requires synergy amongst personnel, he directed the Chief of Standards and Evaluation to ensure that all NAF units have at least a safety-trained officer to mitigate the dangers associated with poor safety management and procedures. The Director of Safety Nigeria Air Force also reiterated the need for all NAF pilots and aircrew to continue to be updated with evolving safety measures and ensure they keep abreast with new safety innovations in line with best international practices.
Air operations become safer, and also ground operations, in that safety, as we say, is everybody's business, not necessarily for the pilot or the aircraft engineer, but also those on ground, as what you call occupational safety, health, and environment.
Sophisticated equipment that require the utmost standard of safety for those operating them, to ensure that they bring to bear what those machines have been purchased for.
The seminar will discuss, among other issues, repositioning the NAF safety management for enhanced operational efficiency. In Lagos, Ruth Ario Samuel, NTA News.
Well, do not forget that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other verified social media handle displayed on the screen for updates. Nationwide will continue with Lami in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Deola. Members of a climate parliament in Nigerian network say achieving behavioral change that can promote clean environments and reduce the impacts of climate change in the country requires the collaboration of all stakeholders. This was as the unveiling and installation of plastic bottles and aluminium cans recycle bins at the National Assembly complex, from where Dayo Ogunshola filed in this report.
In May 2021, Nigeria unveiled a national policy on solid waste management and plastic management to promote waste reduction and the appropriate use and reuse of resources. This symbolic installation of plastic bottles and aluminium recycling bins at the National Assembly by the Climate Parliament Nigeria and partners is in furtherance of these policies.
These things help to destroy the land, degrade the land, make them not to be able to produce food. The essence of this exercise is to ensure that we remove these things from here.
Key players believe that this effort, coming days after the United Nations Climate Conference held in Egypt, underscores Nigeria's commitment to a safer environment.
So the work that we're doing today signifies to the nation and to the world that Nigeria is taking the issues of climate change and recycling seriously.
Nigeria has continued to display a leadership position in Africa by developing various initiatives and partnerships and at combating plastics and solid waste pollution.
Virtually all countries in Africa are saying if we need to move forward, then we must copy the Nigerian example.
Climate Parliament Nigeria Network is hopeful that going forward, the idea of proper disposal of non-biodegradable items will be fully embraced by all. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Leadership of the 6 member countries connected to the Lake Chad Basin are re-energizing supported programs targeted at turning challenges, especially issues of climate change and insecurity, that evolve from the Lake Chad Basin into opportunities. Oluseyi Adiabo reports that this was part of the agenda of the meeting of a technical team of experts on the 68th ordinary session of the Council of Ministers of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, LCBC, here in Abuja.
Fragility of the Chad Basin gets worsened by the combined effects of the impact of climate change and unsustainable influence of human beings on nature. The 6 member countries have since exerted themselves vigorously to meet the developmental challenges in the management of the water resources within the basin, and for the Lake Chad Basin Commission, these efforts have been paying off.
What we are doing right now, we have a project to improve the hydraulic capacity of the 2 main tributaries of the lake, that is River Shari and River Logon, so that we can liberate more water to reach the lake, stabilize the embankment, and allow the people to get the maximum use of the rivers.
And ahead of the 16th summit of heads of state and government scheduled to hold later this month, these experts are reflecting on sustainability plans of the progress made and transforming the collective potential into tangible results.
It is expected that your recommendations will facilitate the Council of Ministers in adopting resolutions that will strengthen our common institution for the benefit of our populace.
With this review of activities of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, recommendations would be submitted to the Council of Ministers towards addressing the myriad of challenges in the region. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Time to connect with Felicia in Jos for trending stories from there. It's over to you, Felicia.
Lami, welcome to Jos. Governor Simon Lalong is emphatic that government will take drastic measures against those bent on perpetrating violent attacks on innocent citizens and disrupting the sustainable peace being enjoyed in the state. This was when he convened an emergency meeting with key players from various communities in Boko's local government area following recent attacks in some villages. Rinret Silvanus Lott reports.
Some villages in Boko's local government area were recently attacked, leading to loss of lives and destruction of property. Worried by this unfortunate development, Governor Simon Lalong convened an emergency meeting with key players, which include traditional rulers, elder statesmen, representatives of Ron and Fulani, leaders of Khan and JNI, as well as security agencies to find lasting solutions to the problem. While sympathizing with the people, the governor reiterates that nobody has the right to kill anyone or take the law into their hands in addressing grievances, saying government will continue to play its part in ensuring the security of lives and property, as he urges them to make sincere resolves to live in peace with one another.
The title of gratitude is peace and justice. But some people want to destroy this peace and us. If you destroy the peace, how will you even market yourself?
This is also a cautious note to all of us that are working in this field, that we need to be on our guard. We couldn't just say, we couldn't just begin to sing the song of Uhuru. There is a lot of work that needs to be done, and we need to be committed to the process.
At the end of the meeting, which later went behind closed doors, the people made commitments to live in peace with one another. In Jos, Rinret Silvanus Lott, NTA News.
Of activism against gender-based violence is being celebrated the world over. Plateau State Human Rights Commission, in collaboration with the State Ministry of Women Affairs, are calling for strict penalty for perpetrators of human rights abuses. Sadatu Mohammed Kafa reports that this was during a roadwork in Jos in commemoration of the day.
Established by the National Human Rights Commission Act of 1995, the National Human Rights Commission has the mandate to promote and protect human rights. This follows some forms of violence experienced by women and girls, to include rape, domestic violence, early marriage, physical and sexual assault, harmful widowhood practice, as well as denial of family inheritance. In view of this, the Commission is undertaking a 16-day activism commencing with public awareness to share ideas on violence and harmful practices against women and girls.
We have handled like 247 of such cases against children alone. Then we have 223 against women. Some that are not too grievous, we mediate on them. But the grievous ones, we partner with the police and the Ministry of Justice, and we prosecute in courts.
This year's theme, Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls, had other partners lending their voices on the need for people to always speak out for action. The State Commissioner for Women Affairs represented gave an overview of violence cases on the plateau.
This ministry recorded a total of 102 social cases. Out of that, 42 have been settled. 47 were placed under maintenance and upkeep, and 13 cases are still under investigation.
The 16-day activism ends on the 3rd of next month in Jos. Sa'adat Muhammad Kafa, NTA News.
The report wraps it from Jos. Lami is back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Felicia. Now, re-electing APC into office in the 2023 general elections means Nigeria's continuous journey on the path of infrastructural development. Former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, expressed the confidence while soliciting support for the APC presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu.
It was a familiarization visit to a man with three blazing records, which turned a platform for political romance. And the National Forum of Former Councillors is raising the bar of General Tukur Buratai with an award of philanthropy par excellence. Buratai's effort in counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast, contributions to education and love for the vulnerable group, and him the award plaque.
His Excellency is a gallant soldier. He is the first army general in this country that is in office. He only moved to the battlefield. And when you look at him, he's a man of people.
The former army chief says the present administration has performed well and urged the incoming president to build on the already laid down foundation. He described the recent oil exploration in Northeast, Naira redesign and other key reforms as strategic and pointer to the APC's commitment to a better and secured future for all.
Mr. President has been instrumental to the strong leadership and his commitment and the will to see the country is secured, free from corruption, and also it develops and progresses in terms of its economic activities. Whoever is coming, we will continue from where he stopped.
The Nigerian ambassador to Benin Republic appreciated the support of different political groups for the success of APC come February 25th, 2023 presidential election.
In its bid to support governments to improve fiscal governance and national statistics to build a thriving and sustainable economy, the National Bureau of Statistics has embarked on a project on the conduct of the Nigeria Labour Force and the Nigeria Living Standards Survey 2022/2023, aimed at assessing the country's employment and unemployment rate using a revised instrument, Moplang Dakok reports.
Bureau of Statistics is kickstarting the 2022-2023 round of Nigeria Living Standards Survey and the Nigeria Labour Force Survey, which were last carried out in 2018 and 2019. The two surveys are a follow-up to the previous ones, keeping pace with an expected 5-year frequency. To ensure a smooth sail, the Bureau is sensitizing stakeholders on the conduct of the surveys.
The Labour Force Survey will help government to prioritize areas and sectors of the economy where they can focus attention to expand such sectors.
Nigeria is progressing if you compare some of the statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics with other countries across the globe.
Outcomes of the survey will be released in the next 12 months as enumerators are already in the field for collection of data. In Abuja, Moplang Dakok, NTA News.
Now, Nigeria and the International Fund for Agricultural Development are strategizing towards improving agricultural activities in this year's dry season. Musa Aliu reports that more than 9,000 farmers in the state are currently benefiting from the Nigeria IFAD Value Chain Development Program.
Nigeria and the International Fund for Agricultural Development are jointly funding the Agricultural Value Chain Development Project aimed at alleviating poverty as well as upscaling the production of rice, cassava and other produce in 9 states. The project targets 135,000 people comprising rural farmers, marketers and processors.
135,000. Out of that 135,000, we've now reached 98,000.
And this midterm meeting is to review the success and challenges in the execution of the project.
This is a very important mission that is going to assess the progress made by the Value Chain Development Program up to now and identify the challenges they face.
The meeting also reviewed the impacts of flood, COVID-19, as well as the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war on food production in Nigeria.
We need to take into account the impact of inflation on the project. These 3 elements are affecting the beneficiary, and therefore we want to make the project more relevant for smallholder farmers in Nigeria.
IFAD had earlier pledged $5 million to support Nigeria upscale production as a result of the 2022 flood. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Abubakar is standing by in Maiduguri. It's good to see you, Abubakar.
It's nice to see you, Lami, and thank you for joining us in Maiduguri. Theatre Commander Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa says the military has intensified patrols in addition to putting adequate security measures in resettled communities to ensure successful conduct of the general elections. The Theatre Commander disclosed this in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, as part of security preparations for the polls in a zone where military operations are ongoing to clear remnants of Boko Haram insurgents. Memuna Garba will now bring us the rest of the story.
Considering the fact that people in resettled communities are going to exercise their voting rights, the military is not relenting in ensuring they provide a peaceful and conducive atmosphere for the exercise to take place. According to the theatre commander, Major General Christopher Musa, a unit of army has been IDPs have been relocated.
We don't rule out anything, so our checkpoints are still picking a lot of logisticians, collaborators from our checkpoints. Continue, we'll just intensify what we're doing. The peace we enjoy is because we're doing these activities, and then we want to also continue to appeal to the citizens. Don't allow yourself to be used.
To further ensure success of the elections, General Musa disclosed that the Chief of Army Staff has directed the Nigerian Army to collaborate with other security agencies and stakeholders to ensure peace reigns throughout the period. He enjoined electorate to have confidence in security operatives and come out to vote, as the military is closely monitoring every aspect of the Northeast with a view to dealing with any threat.
It's just for us to continue to enhance our ability to patrol both day and night to ensure our checkpoints have been put in place. We are working together with the DSS, with the civil police, with the civil defense to ensure that we keep everywhere as peaceful as possible.
The theatre commander said the military is getting the best support from the locals in the Northeast, urging them to continue for a successful pulse. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
And still on issues that have to do with security, as part of an effort to regulate and enhance services of voluntary security groups, Borno State Justice Sector Reform Team, in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice, launched a Code of Conduct document for the voluntary policing sector. The Code of Ethics project, adding value to search for peace and human rights, was done in partnership with the British Council Managing Conflicts in Nigeria, supported by the European Union. Pauline Kujevana will now bring us more details of the report.
That was the launching of the Code of Conduct for voluntary policing sector groups and subsequent distribution to the leaders of the groups. The emergence of voluntary security groups by the youths in Borno was necessitated by the resurgence of the Boko Haram in 2011 to complement the government security agencies in tackling the situation. Lack of regulatory documents to guide the conduct of the voluntary groups informed the designing of the Code of Conduct, which provide guidelines to be observed towards contributing to the security and safety of the communities across the states. This was the initiative of the Borno State Justice Sector Reform Team, supported by the Ministry of Justice, British Council, and European Union to ensure peace and societal harmony.
Norms, guidelines for people to have. You have to collaborate with all community supporters and cooperate with them to fight violence within the community. Let it serve as a guiding principle for us to be able to deliver services where the right of all will be protected.
Other speakers from the security agencies and partners lauded the achievement and sought for sustained collaboration for the attainment of peace. The voluntary security groups have justified their indelible roles in securing Borno and the ongoing counter-insurgency operations as the Code of Conduct is an additional stimulus to sustainable law and order. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
If you're just joining us, you're on to Nationwide on Africa's Window to the World, the NTA. Let us at this point take a commercial break, but Chinenye in Enugu Network Center will return with more stories for us in just a moment.
Much for staying on. Welcome to Enugu. Some party stalwarts of the AL Progressives Congress, APC, as well as coordinators of various support groups in the Southeast, have promised to step up their game to ensure APC wins all the seats across board in the 2023 general elections. Chimaroke Ugu reports that this was part of the resolutions reached at a town hall meeting by the party's support group, which held in Enugu.
As the clock ticks to 2023 general elections, different support groups have continued to roll their drums for the All Progressives Congress APC presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Southeast Support Group Coordination Directorate in the town hall meeting charged stakeholders and support groups in the Southeast to up their games and strategize to actualize their mandate of selling the candidature of the presidential candidates of the party.
Jagabon is a bridge builder. Some Southeasterners were in his cabinet. So the Southeast is going to benefit because he will improve on the economy. He has said that a port will be established in the Southeast.
Some stakeholders of the party described support groups as engine house for a victorious process.
He has developed that we don't need oil. We don't rely on oil in Nigeria. For to grow the economy, he is going to have a revolution in agriculture. When you go to the support group, it will be time that I am now to find me, not to make me run away from me.
I pray, by God's grace, with Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, women will have over 35 affirmative percentage in his government.
They, however, maintain that the APC's presidential candidate is a good product that will be easy to market, going by his track record in human capital development, and urged everyone to get to work and deliver the assignment with success. In Enugu, Chimaroke Ugu, NTA News.
And that is it from here. We will now rejoin Lami in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you so much. Now, the Ijaw Youth Council, Abuja and Northern Nigeria branch has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the appointment of a substantive board for the Niger Delta Development Commission. In a press briefing in Abuja, the chairman, Adam Ugomugu, describes the decision of the president as a genuine demonstration to develop the region and advised the board members not to betray the trust of the president. And President Muhammadu Buhari sympathizes with family, friends, associates of renowned gospel singer Samuel Okposo and the Christian community, particularly Okposo's colleagues in gospel music and the younger generation who have over the years identified with his elevating style of praise and worship. President Buhari commiserates with the Christian community. The president notes the unique platform of worship created by Okposo, the Okposo Praise Party, his creative contributions to the Nigerian film industry, Nollywood, and the inspiring role he played in grooming talents and mentoring them to stardom. President Buhari prays for the repose of the musician's soul. And that's it on Nationwide for today. We thank you for watching. Join us at 7 and 9 for more stories. Have a good weekend.